Our coconut cake uses the reverse creaming method for a tender crumb, and there's coconut right in the batter. This time, I'll handle it myself. Captain Breadhook will not escape my grasp. Captain Breadhook is on her way home this time. Really? Yes. Frida got an intergalactic transmission from the USS Enterprise. She's been away for a long time. Baking spray with flour and line the bottom with parchment paper. Oh, and let me tell you how the bride and groom met. It's so millennial. Oops, I'll have to tell you in a little bit. The reverse creaming method starts with all your dry ingredients. 7 cups of cake flour. Our oven won't hold all 4 pans for the 8-inch tier and the 10-inch tier, plus 2 to 3 cupcakes. So we have to bake them in batches. But we found out that we can make all the batter at once. There's just a little trick we'll show you later. 1/4 cup of baking powder. I know, it's a lot. Give it a whisk around to get all that baking powder spread around the bowl. 3 teaspoons of kosher salt. Kosher salt doesn't have the iodine taste that table salt has. I am your worst nightmare, Captain Breadhook. Feel the heat of my wrath. Convection power! Now, add in your butter in chunks. Slowly. Let your chunk, which is about 2 tablespoons, break down all the way before adding in the next one. You want your butter to be at room temperature so it breaks down. Otherwise, cold butter chunks will just send flour all over your kitchen. Whisk it until you get something like breadcrumbs. Add in 5½ cups of sugar. Whisk that all around. We never went higher than like a 2-speed. There's no room for anything more. We'll add it back in. Biddy-doo-dah, zippity-day. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. What now? Space rats again? Or is it another one of Jum Jum's tricks? It's just too much. I'm working with you on this, Big Val. Combine your wet ingredients. 3 cups of canned coconut milk, 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of almond extract. 2 tablespoons of coconut extract. Stir that all around. Slowly add in about half. All the dry ingredients decided to gather on the inside of the whisk and have a little conference. So we changed over to the paddle attachment. Add in the rest of the dry. Your 12 ounces of egg whites. I know, it's like a whole dozen. We use pasteurized egg whites because we also need egg whites for the frosting. And the rest of the coconut milk. Fold in 2½ cups of shredded coconut, and look at that! The whole bowl is like super full. Technically, a 2-layer 8-inch cake should have 4 cups of batter, and a 10-inch 2-layer cake should have 6 cups of batter. 10 cups total. Then there was the 2 to 3 cupcakes for the folks who were allergic to stone fruit. Way complicated. We just filled them a little over halfway to 2/3 and weighed each pan to make sure they were even. Oh, and these are cake strips around the pans. They're just strips of fabric soaked in cold water that change the baking process. Flat tops every time. Bake for 30 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. Ha ha, miss me, now you gotta kiss me. Time for plan B. This is where we use the rest of the egg whites too. Whisk 8 ounces or 1 cup of pasteurized egg whites from the carton. Add in your salt early too, until they're foamy all the way through to the bottom. When you lift your whisk, it'll leave a stiff peak like this little mountain peak in the bowl. Add in 2-pound bag of powdered sugar, a little at a time. I think I'm going to make this my go-to frosting. It's so easy. You don't even have to measure. Then add in your butter 1 chunk at a time. A chunk is about 2 tablespoons. We're using the whisk because it lightens up the butter and we like how it gets it all in there. Now for the 16 ounces of mascarpone cream. You add that a chunk at a time too. It replaces 1.5 cups of unsalted butter in the recipe. The mascarpone-cheese makes this richer and creamier, if that was ever possible. Notice how yellow it is because of the butter. The trick there is to add a tiny bit of purple gel food coloring. Don't add too much or you'll turn your frosting a lavender and there's no going back. Well, this just got interesting. Let's see what this old fighter can do. Don't expect much. I found this spaceship in the back of Big Val's pantry. No! Impossible! How can this be? Jum, you useless buffoon! Here's the way it all goes together, including the internal structure. The top 8-inch tier gets a cake board, which is just food-grade cardboard. The hole in the middle is where you put the middle support, and you'll see that in a little bit. Put a few smudges of frosting on it to keep the first layer from skidding off. Spread a layer of frosting, then pipe a dam around the edge. Then your filling. We like a nice thick layer of filling. We're putting in mango curd, and you can watch that video here. Big Val is doing a semi-naked frosting for a rustic look. We use a bench scraper to make sure it's perfectly straight up and down. We'd hate to put these 2 layers together and it come out wonky. That's disaster with a capital D! And off to the freezer to chill. We're putting a white drip on each tier, and they need to be chilled for at least 30 minutes to get a controlled drip. The white chocolate drip is just a ganache. Take 8.8 ounces of white chocolate, break it up into small pieces, add 2/3 cup of hot steamy cream, and stir. The bottom layer sits on the silver cake drum. We have a couple of inches wider to leave room for flowers that we're going to put on the bottom. Insert your support plastic straws, and your center straw goes up into the top tier. That'll keep it from sliding off should something happen. Then just pipe on a decorative swirl to hide the cardboard and voila! Back to the way they met. They swiped right. Yes, Sarah and Vibov matched on Hinge. Sarah was dipping her toes back into dating, and Vibov was exhausted from going on too many dates. Sarah said, "We met up at the Cove in Hyde Park." Must be a hot date place. Drinks were mediocre, music was loud, but the weather was nice. After about an hour, Viboff offered to walk me home, and I went against my independent nature and said yes. Best idea each of us have ever had. This isn't over, Bread Hook. I'll get you just as soon as I fix this up.